Our topic is importance of structure and engineering in architecture. I, being an architect academician, I believe that teaching subjects like structure and services, etc., in an architecture curriculum is very important at college level as well as at practice level. Because what happens that when we are in college and an architect is teaching these subjects, he know how much to be delivered to a student. Because I being to a college जहाँ पे university थी and we have civil faculties to teach ourselves. तो estimation, surveying, leveling, structure, services ऐसा ऊपर से आता था. You know, we are not able to cope up. So an architect specifically knows how much and what is to be delivered to the students, and so that they have a fairly good idea. And coming to practice, I believe that an architect works in C cube mode. That is a client, consultants to him, and finally the contractor. So just imagine an architect deal between this gap. He has so many consultants, and if he has a fairly good knowledge about this, he can put up this jigsaw puzzle into the place. And being a principal consultant, he is the one point contact for all these things like structure, planning, electrical, HVAC, firefighting, vertical transportation, etc., etc. So if he has a fairly good idea, he can have a dialogue or a conversation with the consultants and agencies. I'll start with Siddharth Sharma. Sir, what are alternative materials and techniques that are trending and being used in industry apart from concrete, RCC and pre-stressed concrete? And I think Raveen sir ने भी कल बात करी थी concrete. So I believe.
नहीं सर, तो काफ़ी सीनियर, दो बहुत सीनियर लोग पास में बैठे हुए हैं.
ऐसे तो आपको बीच में बैठाया आपने.
तो अच्छा, थोड़ा मैं एब्जॉर्ब कर लेता हूँ सबसे. बट देखिए, आई थिंक कंक्रीट एक ऐसा मटेरियल है जो कि कभी रिप्लेस नहीं हो सकता. मॉडिफाई हो जाएगा आने वाले समय में. आई थिंक विद इन नेक्स्ट 30-40 ईयर्स वी विल सी डिफरेंट वर्जन्स ऑफ कंक्रीट, मोर सस्टेनेबल कंक्रीट, जो कि सर का बहुत अच्छा टॉपिक है, राहुल सर का भी. बट मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि अपार्ट फ्रॉम कंक्रीट, अगर हम कंक्रीट यूज़ ही नहीं करना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि कंक्रीट में एक प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हमारे को कंक्रीट में या तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करनी पड़ेगी और साइड पे बोरिंग करनी पड़ेगी. अगर उसको अवॉइड करना है तो वी कैन डेफिनेटली गो फॉर सील स्ट्रक्चर्स और प्री फैब्रिकेशन, जो यार्ड्स के अंदर पहले से बने बनाए स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं. इनफैक्ट काफ़ी सारी कंपनीज कर भी रही हैं, जैसे टाटा नेस्टिन है. सो वी आर डूइंग अ प्रोजेक्ट विद टाटा नेस्टिन इन झारखंड, जिन्होंने हमें बोल दिया कि हमारे को फाउंडेशंस के अलावा बिल्कुल भी कंक्रीट नहीं चाहिए. वी डोंट वांट टू कास्ट कंक्रीट ऑन साइट. एंड सिर्फ इनफिल पैनल्स हैं जो कि वो भी प्री कास्टेड बने हुए आएंगे, पूरा सब फैक्ट्री पे बना हुआ आएगा एंड दे विल बी प्लेसिंग इट ऑन साइट. नियर फ्यूचर में वी कैन डेफिनेटली सी, क्योंकि स्टील का कॉस्टिंग थोड़ा ज़्यादा रहता है, इट विल टेक सम टाइम, बट स्टील इज़ अ गुड मटेरियल. एंड वन फ्यूचर प्रॉस्पेक्ट दैट वी कैन सी विद इन नेक्स्ट 30 ईयर्स कमिंग इज ग्राफीन. ग्रेफाइट पेंसिल से जो हम जानते हैं, ग्राफीन एक ऐसा कंपाउंड है जो कि यूके में बहुत यूज़ हो रहा है आजकल, अलॉन्ग विथ कॉन्क्रीट भी यूज़ हो रहा है. एंड इट इज़ अ वेरी लाइट वेट मटीरियल एंड कैन रिप्लेस स्टील, क्योंकि उसमें टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ काफ़ी अच्छी अचीव होती है. तो देयर कैन भी, जब हम पैरामेट्रिक डिज़ाइंस के बारे में बात करते हैं, कुछ मुड़ती हुई चीज़ जो आर्किटेक्ट्स दिखाते हैं या आने वाले टाइम में बनेंगी, क्योंकि हम दिखा तो देते हैं, बनना कैसे है. सुनील सर ने बोल दिया था कि स्ट्रक्चर तो हम फटाफट निपटा देंगे, बट बनाएंगे कैसे, वो भी एक बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है हमारे साथ, वो हम लोग जो डील करते हैं. तो आई थिंक ग्राफीन एक ऐसा कंपाउंड है जो आने वाले टाइम में थोड़ा सा इंट्रोड्यूस होएगा मार्केट के अंदर, और प्रोडक्शन अगर होगा तो डेफिनेटली मटेरियल्स आगे और चेंज होंगे. आई थिंक
राइट. सो जो आपने ग्राफीन जो मटेरियल बोला है, इट विल रिप्लेस कंक्रीट.
इट कैन नॉट, दैट इज व्हाट आई सेड फर्स्ट टाइम. 100% कंक्रीट कभी रिप्लेस नहीं हो सकता. डेफिनेटली ग्राफीन कंक्रीट के साथ यूज़ हो पाएगा, एज अ कोटिंग मटेरियल भी यूज़ हो सकता है. सो जैसे हम अभी जिंक कोटिंग करते हैं रस्टिंग को रोकने के लिए, ग्राफीन कंपाउंड, क्योंकि अगर ग्राफीन को माइक्रोस्कोपिक लेवल पे देखेंगे तो इट इज़ अ हेक्सागोनल शेप का कंपाउंड है, जिसका मैक्रोस्कोपिक लेवल पे भी स्ट्रक्चर बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है. जैसे हम कंक्रीट को मॉडिफाई कर करके अभी देखते हैं, जूम इन करके कि उसका क्या कंपाउंड्स है. तो ग्राफीन कैन बी मिक्स विथ कंक्रीट इन फ्यूचर, उस पर रिसर्च चल रही है. एंड उससे और स्टील की रिक्वायरमेंट कम हो जाएगी हमारी. मतलब कहीं पे ऐसा है कि जहाँ पे हम स्टील नहीं डालना चाह रहे. अब प्रॉब्लम स्टील का ये आता है कि स्टील हमारे को साइड पे बांधना पड़ता है. स्टील के लिए हमें पर्टिकुलर लेबर चाहिए. तो क्या हम ऐसा कोई, जब हम लोग इस लेवल पे आएंगे कि जब हमारे को कोई 3D रोबोट यूज़ करके मॉडलिंग करके ही उसको ऑन साइट सीधा रोबोट से स्ट्रक्चर बनाना है, तो देयर विल बी अ टाइम जब हम लोग को ग्राफीन मिक्स करना पड़ेगा कंक्रीट के साथ. दैट वोंट रिक्वायर अ टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ, क्योंकि कंक्रीट की कंप्रेसिव स्ट्रेंथ अच्छी है. ग्राफीन विल प्रोवाइडेड द रिक्वायर्ड टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ.
Tensile strength. Okay. Thank you, sir. Rahul, sir, next question is to you. You have so many mathematic softwares, you know, Grasshopper, Rhino, Katia, to name some few. And you know that architects are creative minds and engineers are calculative minds. So how does that help the ideas of designer to fulfill constraints in managing building physics?
Yeah, actually, softwares are very good medium of achieving a speed in designs. But to me, the first principle always remains that we have created softwares. It should never be there that software creates something for us. It should be one-way process. So the problem with structural engineers in modern times is that they are turning to become more and more dependent on softwares, whereas structural designing is principally matter of analysis.
Right.
Now analysis, when you have your own command, then go to the software and ask your queries. Not that you get a template out of it, design and copy and paste it. There has to be a balance. And balance, number one, the analysis should be done primarily by the engineer and supervised through the software. So there has to be balance between use of softwares. Softwares are coming day by day, good softwares, better softwares, there are updations also. And I'm also using many of the softwares, mostly because we are actually into high-rise building structures and also into bridge designing.
G.
So we are using number of softwares. But even then, मुझे पूरा satisfaction जब भी मिलता है जब मैं एक बार अपना खुद का एनालिसिस भी करता हूँ.
कल से यही बात चल रही है.
है ना? And that is very important. Now part B, which also is part of very much the question you have asked, and also what the young chap is saying. Actually, concrete can never be ruled out.
Right.
A structure without concrete, because concrete first was made as back as 9,000 years ago.
Okay.
The first concrete traces found on our planet goes to 9,000 years old in Israel, which was made with pulverized volcanic ash.
Right.
And the lime. Ever since then, the modern day concrete was made somewhat around 1840. So it's almost 200 years. We could evolve concrete, but we could not replace it.
Yeah.
Because all other, concrete is the cheapest material.
Right.
Equivalent per cubic meter cost of any other material we invent shall always be higher than the concrete. And cost is a big factor. And it is going to be bigger and bigger day by day.
Right.
So it can never be replaced. And every structural engineer, one element has to be there, because it is also my specialization, that besides you have knowledge about structure and the softwares, because they are helping you, you need to have fairly good knowledge about concrete also, which softwares cannot give you.
Cannot give. Yeah. So it's like what is input is the output, you know. So
Yeah.
you have to be
You have
very
to
judicious.
create. So
Yeah.
at the end, you have to create balance between software cannot rule out, because you have to achieve this speed. You have to match with the expectations of the client, and primarily with the expectations of the architect with whom you are actually designing the structure. First, you have to achieve that. So softwares are very much important, but at the same time, your own wisdom about understanding of the subject and the structure is very, very significant.
Right.
And that has to be ensured.
Sir, UK के अंदर BIM is mandatory for all public
Yes,
buildings.
yes.
So what's the call for India? I mean the roadmap ahead in this particular.
Yes. Basically, you have to integrate all the activities in a construction. May that be architectural, may that be services, may that be structure. Architecture and structure are hand in hand, always. Because all the dreams of architects, firstly, become the primary responsibility of a structural engineer once he agrees upon it. I met the structural engineer who designed Burj Khalifa.
Right.
I met him in a convention like this in Delhi some 8-9 years ago. And I asked him one question, which is very relevant and probably is the answer to what you are asking. Okay, how could you design such a high-rise structure, almost 852 meters high?
Yeah.
Well, I don't design any building. Actually, building designs itself. I'm just a medium. So, onus on structural engineer is very, very big. BIM probably actually brings you into one platform where you are integrating all the activities simultaneously and you are understanding what is going to happen. होता यह है कि हम कोई स्ट्रक्चर डिजाइन करते हैं, एट द एंड ये पता लगता है कि ये बीम तो उस जगह आड़े आ रहा है, ये बीम मत डालो.
Very true, sir.
And it is part of life. It has become part of life. Now you have to eliminate such type of hurdles when you are designing in a composite manner because you barely get time to reiterate your activities. BIM actually avoids those reiterations and keeps you onto the track where you can achieve accuracy in single go or without much of the reiterations.
Yeah.
Unless until they are not called for.
Thank you so much. My next question is to Nishant. In India and in fact in entire world, restoration of building is prevailing these days. You know, we have old monuments and now it's a time to, to take care of them. So how the advancement in engineering helps in conservation of the buildings?
Rehabilitation means re-strengthening of buildings. So nowadays, re-strengthening, there is a good component of FRP, fiber reinforced polymers. FRP laminates are coming, which increase the strength of beams and all. And it is also, fibers are of different kinds in that. We have carbon fiber reinforced polymer, CFRP, we have GFRP, glass fiber reinforced polymer. And according to our uses, that what element of strengthening we require. If we require that ductile property of that element should be increased, then we can use glass fiber reinforced. If we want to increase some other, then other polymer fiber can be increased. So that's a very good alternative in rehab.
Yeah.
Normally used these days.
Yeah. What you have talked about is like a material, to be very specific. Is there any technologies or techniques also, engineering technology which is coming up to restore the heritage monuments of the buildings?
Sir, we have composite structures to support or strengthen buildings.
Okay.
That can also be used in existing buildings.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Ketaki ma'am, we all know that we have a scarcity of land and especially country like India जहाँ पे population इतनी कि अगर 2 गज दूर खड़े हो तो पता चला उधर पाकिस्तान में घुस गए उधर बांग्लादेश में घुस गए. We have land scarcity, we all know. It's time to think कि structure should be made in space or maybe in water or in deserts. Once which was a dream is now reality. अभी सर ने बोला कि बुर्ज खलीफा वाले स्ट्रक्चर इंजीनियर से सर मुलाकात हुई तो बुर्ज खलीफा, बुर्ज अल अरब, पाम जुमेरा, तो ये सारे स्ट्रक्चर ऐसे हैं कि which were dream project at some point of time, but now they are standing on that. So what's your take on that, ma'am? मतलब building in water or building on deserts or probably in space, you know?
सर मैं ना बुर्ज खलीफा और इतने बड़े बड़े स्ट्रक्चर्स की बात नहीं करूँगी क्योंकि अपने आसपास बहुत छोटे छोटे स्ट्रक्चर्स रहते हैं. I come from a background of solar energy. We design structures for solar energy. तो स्ट्रक्चर ज़रूरी नहीं बिल्डिंग ही होना चाहिए. स्ट्रक्चर कुड बी एनीथिंग, इंडस्ट्री और सोलर के लिए हम लोग जो बना रहे हैं कंक्रीट का कुछ भी हो सकता है. सो आई विल नॉट टेक लॉट ऑफ टाइम. मैं एक एग्जांपल बस देना चाहूँगी जो इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर दे सकता है. Recently, under the scheme of Smart Village by Governor of Rajasthan, we designed a first Rajasthan solar tree, which has been placed in Thur, which is like 20 kilometers from Udaipur. वहाँ पे एक स्कूल में हम लोगों ने ये सोलर ट्री बनाया हुआ है. 5 किलोवाट उसकी कैपेसिटी है, जो 350 स्क्वायर फीट लैंड पे जो जगह ले सकता था वो सिर्फ 16 स्क्वायर फीट एरिया में वो सोलर ट्री खड़ा है. एक वर्ड में अगर इसका आंसर देना है कि हाउ टू कोप अप विद द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ स्कैरसिटी ऑफ लैंड, द ओनली वन वर्ड आंसर आई विल गिव इज इनोवेशन.
थैंक यू सो मच मैम. रविंद्र सर, एक बिल्कुल दिल का क्वेश्चन आपसे. सर, हाउ आर्किटेक्चर एंड इंजीनियरिंग ब्लेंड इनटू ईच अदर व्हेन वी डिजाइन एज एन आर्किटेक्ट and construct organic shapes, structures and parametric models?
See, both cannot be sort of abstained as two separate vertical entities at all, because what is each one is an intrinsic sort of spine line of the other. For a structural engineer, of course, it's not important that he must arrive at the first principles of innovation in terms of the design segment of it, but his parameters of how he understands the mechanics of soil and how he integrates everything else together goes in another wedge line. Whereas for an architect, I think it's very important that he has to be conscious of structural engineering to a very large extent, and that cannot be devoid at all. And in today's time, as how our practice works, every formwork drawing, or even when you look at MEP diagrams and drawings that has to be issued GFC to site, we operate on all the base drawings for an MEP consultant. Even the SLDs are drawn by our architectural practice. We don't want the origin of that idea to come from an engineer who might not be involved in the making of the master plan or making of the design parameters itself. So it's very important that we dictate. And most of the GFCs are also released by an architectural practice what an engineer draws, because again, it's a master plan and primary design-based idea which initiates all this program. So this is the practical aspect of the construction program that you have to process and manage, which needs complete engineering skills. Even in our practice, we have more than 25 to 30% are only engineers, they're not architects. Okay. Practices have to incorporate this method, however big or small. It's not important that you have to be a big practice. Many years back, I used to work for a practice in London, and there were only 16 people in their firm, and Wilkinson Ir is the name of the practice, and they were parallel and doing competitions against Norman Foster, and they used to win projects. They built 3 of the bridges against the River Thames, and they worked on a collaborative approach. It's like a developer in Bangalore, for example, he used to sit with 3 chartered accountants and outsource everything else. And he used to manage 17 projects. It's not important that you need to have 200 people to manage. There are ways today that technology affords to support you in methods and mechanisms how you can do. Like CPC is my client, Control Parking Solutions. They manage car parking lots in Delhi and Srinagar and in Uttarakhand. And there's just, his wife and 6 chartered accountants, and they have, almost 180 CCTVs that they're staring at every day, and they monitor. So today's technology can afford to support you how to do it. Number is just a, stupid assumption. But having said that, for an architect, it's very, very imperative that he has to have, the macro level understanding of structures and be able to, disintegrate even the micro level definitions. If a structural engineer or an MEP engineer is explaining you rotary system of, for example, UPS, this is a project which we did in Bangalore where it is 7 million square feet of built-up area and it has no batteries. It is a UPS system, which has absolutely no batteries. I'm not even talking about lithium or alkaline base. There are no batteries, period. It's everyone should go back and Google this. It's called as the rotary system, which is available in the Indian market today. And Cisco has generated this whole idea. So therefore, you're talking about structural engineering, I'm talking about service engineering and adding everything to that. It's an integrated program. So it is very, very important that an architect has to learn. He cannot just say it's not my cup of tea, somebody else will do. Right. I'll draw mad diagrams and then they have to sit and resolve it. That's not... That is only his ignorance and stupidity if he ever, states that and says that I'm going to be an artist and then somebody will resolve my life. Right. It doesn't work like that. And, you have to be the complete person to be lovable and to be acceptable in the way we present ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.